or your father, if I work for your benefit or call on my benefit to you, if I work for the benefit of father or your father, this he can revoke. First, they used to say there are three women who must be divorced, that they take the ketubas. One who says, I am unclean to you, or heaven is between me and you, or I am removed from all Jews. They later retracted this so that a wife should not have set her eyes on another man and behave immorally toward her husband. Rather, one who says, I am unclean to you must prove it. Heaven is between me and you. They should plead with her, I am removed from all Jews. He should revoke his share so that she can continue in marital relations with him, but she is removed from other Jews. Okay.
Hadran alach, Maseches Nedarim. Okay, and you can do the first Mishnah in Nazir.
In what? I'm sorry.
Nazir.
I took it out.
Yes, we used it yesterday, so
Here it is. Okay. First Mishnah. All equivalent terms used in Naziris are like Naziris. One who says, I will be is a Nazir. Or I will be handsome is a Nazir. Nazik, Nazak, not or Pazak, he is a Nazir. One who says, I am like this one, I am ready to choke my hair, and I am to let my hair grow is an obligation upon me to let my hair grow long, he is a Nazir. If he says it is an obligation upon me to offer birds, Reb Meir says he is a Nazir, but the sages say he is not a Nazir.
okay. Continuing, base. Hareini Nazir min hachartzanim. If he just says, I am a Nazir from grape seeds, min hazagim, or from grape skins, min hatiglacha. So he just says, I'm a Nazir from having haircuts. Or min hatuma, I'm just a Nazir from having haircuts. That's all. Doesn't work. Harei Nazir v'chol dikduke Nazir salav. Once you say you're a Nazir, everything about being a Nazir applies to you. You can't be a partial Nazir, except that there are two categories of Nazir that are recognized categories of Nazir, which have chumras and kulas, mostly chumras. Okay, Hareini kashimshon. So the first type is the Nazir Shimshon, and he follows all of the halachas of Shimshon HaGibor, which is lechumra, that it's a lifetime thing. Once you become a Nazir Shimshon, that's it for life. But there are kulas, and the main kula being that he is allowed to become tamei to the dead. Okay, which Shimshon himself needed rather a lot because he came a lot into contact with the dead, usually because he just killed them. Okay. So that's the Nazir Shimshon, and then there's the Nazir Olam. So if somebody says a Nazir Olam means that they are a Nazir for life, which is similar to the Nazir Shimshon, and we're going to compare the two categories in just a minute. But the Nazir Olam he has all of the dikdukim. He also cannot become tamei to the dead, but he does get an occasional respite to cut his hair. So that's his kula. Anyway, so back into our Mishnah. Hareini kashimshon, keben manoach, keben kabal dalila, kamisha akadaltos aza, misha nikru plishtimis einav. Harei nazir shimshon. So all of these things are descriptions that are very specific to Shimshon, that he's the son of Manoach, that he's the husband of Delilah, that he was the one who uprooted the doors of Uzzah, and he was the one who the Plishtim put out his eyes. Okay, that is called a Nazir Shimshon. And now we explore what is the difference between a Nazir Olam and a Nazir Shimshon. Okay, Nazir Olam hichbid se'aro mekel betar. He can so once a year actually is his limit. If he he's allowed once a year to cut his hair, but must be with a razor, not with a scissors, which is interesting because that's the reverse of
Right,
what in general is, that you can cut your beard with the scissors, but not with a razor. But he's so he gets to lighten his load once a year. Or maybe shalosh behemos, and when he does so, he brings a korban, much like a regular Nazir brings at the end of his term. The nitma may be korban tuma, right? And he has to bring a korban tuma if he becomes tamei. like a
Because
regular
it's
Nazir.
three animals, so it has to bring three.
Yeah, that's right. Three animals. There are three animals that are brought for the korban tuma, for the korban of completing your term. Okay. Um, and Nazir Shimshon, hichbit se'aro eino mekel. The Shimshon was never allowed to cut his hair, and so is it with the Nazir Shimshon. He never gets a chance to cut his hair. Im nitma eino maybe korban tuma. It's brought here as a b'diavad, but actually it's lechatchila. He is even allowed lechatchila to make himself tamei. So he's not. So when it says there, it's just keeping the flow of the language the same as the first part of the Mishnah, where it says if he became tamei. So over here it also says if he became tamei, he does not bring a korban. Um, but it's not even a b'diavad. All right, Mishnah Gimel, Stam Nazirus Shloshim Yom, and that is the minimum term of a Nazirus, and the assumed term of a Nazirus, if somebody says that they're a Nazir, is 30 days. Okay. Um, Amar Harini Nazir Achas Gedola Harini Nazir Achas Katana. If he says I'm a Nazir for one big term or one small term, because he didn't specify the size, big small doesn't matter. That's going to wind up being 30 days. Afilu mikan ad sof ha'olam. Even he says I'm going to be a Nazir from here until the end of the world. Why did he say from here? If he'd said I'll be a Nazir just stam until the end of the world, then we think okay maybe he means a Nazir olam. But if he says from here until the end of the world, he's maybe just expressing a thing of saying that it seems like a long way from here until then. And the Mishnah says that that's not enough to pin him on a Nazir olam. Elamai, he is a Nazir for 30 days. Hareini Nazir v'yom echad. He says, I am a Nazirite plus 1 day. Okay, so Nazarite is 30 days, and then he says plus 1 day. Well, that sounds like he's making another term, and you can't have another term of 1 day. Therefore, he's going to have a second term, a full 30 days pinned on afterwards. Hareini Nazir v'shah achas. I'm a Nazir plus 1 hour even. Hareini Nazir achas umechza. He says I'm going to be a Nazir for 1.5 terms. Nope, Hareze Nazir Shtayim. There's no such thing as a half term of Nazirus. Once you take on 1 hour of Nazirus, you're taken on 30 days. Hareini Nazir Shloshim Yom V'Shah Achas. If he says I'm going to be a Nazir for 30 days and 1 hour, okay, Nazir Shloshim V'Echad Yom. Then he's made his term 31 days because he's included the hour in his first term. So therefore, it is just one term, but the 1 hour gets rounded up to 1 day because you can't have partial days in a Naziris. She'ein Nozrim Shaus, right? So you cannot do a Naziris for hours. It has to be in terms of integral days. Okay. Hareini Nazir Kasar Roshi says, I am going to be a Nazir like the hair of my head. Okay, now, even if a person is bald, you've got a lot more hair follicles than you've got months left in your life.
No.
Okay. So Harini Nazir Kesar Roshi. I mean, unless the guy has like alopecia completely, he's got full alopecia, then maybe you can look at it and say, okay, maybe he's just sort of ragging you. But, but in a normal case, Kesar Roshi, that's a lot of Nazir's terms. Or Ka'afar Haaretz, or he like the dust of the land, or Kechol Hayam, or the sand and the sea. Hare ze Nazir Olam. That makes him into a Nazir Olam, that he will permanently be a Nazir. But this is not the Nazir Olam that we spoke about in the previous Mishnayos. Megalech achas l'shoshim yom. What he's done is he has created himself a rolling Nazirus where every 30 days he completes a term. Right? He finishes and he brings his korbanos and then he's immediately becomes a Nazir for his next term. So every 30 days he's going to be turning up in the temple to give more korbanos. Okay. Rabbi Omer, Ein ze megalech achas l'shloshim yom. He says, no, this is not one who's going to shave every 30 days. Rather, this is a person who's going to be a Nazir for a Nazir Olam, as we did describe in the previous Mishnayos. Okay. Um, because he's saying this is one extra long Naziris that he's going to be on, which basically makes him into a Nazir Orlam. Ezehu, says Rabbi, which one? Ezehu shemagalech achas l'shloshim yom. Who? How does he phrase it if he wants to do once every 30 days? HaOmer harei alai naziros kasaroshi u'cha'afar ha'aretz u'kechol hayam. He says if he accepts upon himself naziros, not making himself a nazir for like the hair of his head, but making himself nazirios, that, and he says then he's expressing that it's terms of Nazirus that that he is taking upon himself like the hair of his head. In that case, it would be a rolling 30-day Nazirus.
Hmm.
Okay, halacha is not like Rebbe. Halacha follows the Tanakama that even the first expression turns him into a rolling Nazir. Okay.
All right.
Um,
Back to
yeah,
Nadiam.
back to Nadarim. Yeah, testes.
Okay. Test. If one said Kohen on wine with respect to my tasting, it is because wine is bad for the bowels. And they said to him, but isn't old wine good for the bowels? He's permitted aged wine, and not only is he permitted aged wine, but all wine. Call him onions in respect to my tasting them, because onions are bad for the heart. And they said to him, but isn't village onion good for the heart? He's permitted the village onion, and not only is permitted the village onion, but also all onions. What's happened? And Reb Meir permitted him all onions. They can find grounds to annul a person by reason of a person's nether by reason of his own honor or the honor of his children. They say to him, if you would have known that tomorrow they would say about you such and such is the habit of so and so, and he divorces his wife and go about your daughters, they will say they are daughters of a divorced woman. What did their mother see to bring about her divorce? Would you have vowed? For if he said, I had known that this would be so, I would not have vowed. He is permitted. No, thereupon, sorry. If one says, Cohen, am I marrying so and so and the ugly, and in fact she is good looking, dark, and she is fair, short, and she is tall, he has permitted her. This is not because she was ugly and became good looking, or dark and became fair, or short and became tall, but because the netter was an error. It happened once that someone made a net of prohibited benefit from his sister's daughter, and they brought her to Reb Mishael's house. They made her beautiful. Reb Mishael said to him, my son, regarding this woman, did you vow? He said to him, no. Thereupon Reb Mishael permitted her. At the time, Reb Mishael read and said, the daughters of Israel are beautiful, but poverty makes them ugly. When Reb Yishmael died, the daughters of Israel raised a lament, saying, daughters of Israel, weep over your Reb Yishmael. And so too it says about Shaul, daughters of Israel, weep over Shaul. Okay,
Mhm.
I'll put this over here.
Okay, Ksubos.
Okay.
Ksubos Yud Hey.
Okay, if one was married to four wives and he died, he first takes precedence over the second over the third, and the third over the fourth. The first swears to the second to the third, and the third to the fourth, but the fourth is paid without an oath. Renata says, should she profit because she is last, she too is not paid without an oath. If they were all written on one day, whichever one precedes the others, even by 1 hour, acquires the right to be collected first. Thus, in Yerushalayim, they would record the hours. If they were all written in the same hour and there was only 100, they would share equally. If one was married to two wives and sold his field, and the first wife wrote to the purchaser, I have neither right nor claim against you, the second wife may take it for the purchaser, and from the first for the second, and from the purchaser for the first. And they go around in circles until they make a compromise among themselves. So it is with the creditor, and so it is with the woman creditor. Okay.
Okay. And
So
hold on, there's also one more.
there is?
Yeah,
Oh,
we've done only two.
okay. If someone died and left
The first
no,
Mishnah.
I'm sorry. A widow is supported from the property of the orphans, and her handiwork belongs to them, but they are not obligated to bury her. Her heirs, those who inherit her tuba, are obligated to bury her. Okay. And Tanis, Megillah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Megillah, we have Dalet Hey,
Daled.
Dalet Ches.
Wait, no, I think we're in Daled, aren't we?
Dalet. Sorry, I'm reading the wrong thing. One who reads the Torah may not read fewer than three verses. He may not read more than one verse at a time for the translator, and in the section for the Nevi'im, he may not read more than three verses at a time. If the three verses say are three paragraphs, we read them one by one. One is permitted to skip in the reading of the Nevi'im, but one may not skip in the reading of the Torah. How much is one permitted to skip? no more than what would cause the translator to pause. The one who concludes with the section from the Nevi'im is the one who divides the Shema and goes before the ark and lifts his hands to bless the people. If he is a minor, his father and teacher go before the ark on his behalf. A minor may read the Torah or serve as a translator, however, he may not divide the Shema, nor may he go before the ark, and nor may he lift his hands to bless the people. One whose clothes are tattered may divide the Shema and serve as a translator. However, he may not read the Torah, he may not go before the ark, nor may he lift his hands. A blind man may divide the Shema and serve as a translator. If Yehuda says anyone who has never seen the luminaries may not divide the Shema. Is that we do that today about the Nevi'im? We only read 3 verses.
So where we only read 3 verses?
We had at the beginning, one who reads the Torah may not read fewer than 3
Yeah,
verses.
that is correct. That is the halacha of reading from the Torah. We have a minimum of 3 verses. There are a few constraints on laning. It's a minimum of 3 verses, and the 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 between the three people who called on a weekday, it's never less than 10 psukim, except on Purim. And there's a little drasha of Yad al Kaes Ka that the throne of Hashem is incomplete, so it's 3 times 3 psukim that we read on Purim morning.
Right,
And also the start and the finish may not be less than 3 psukim away from a paragraph break.
right, right.
So it's either on the break or more than three psukim away from the break.
Yeah, right. Chalav, Dalad Aleph.
At a base. Yeah.
Which is one kind with the like kind. Wheat does not combine with any except with spelt, and barley combines with all except with wheat. Rabbi Yonan ben Nuri says the other kinds combine with one another. 2 chavs and a chav of rice or a chav of truma is between. These do not combine. A thing that from which challah has been separated lies in between. They combine to it has already become liable to challah. If a new chav and an old chav bit one another, Rabbi Ishmael says, let them take from the middle, but the sages forbid. If one takes challah from a chav, Rabbi Akiva says it is challah, but the sages say it is not challah. Okay, let me just see. We still have time. Okay. And we have the Gayam. Gayam should be Yud Gimel base.
That is correct.
A cornerstone which the owner is required to remove must be completely removed, but when he was required to demolish it, he demolishes its side and leaves his neighbor's side. This results in a stringency in the removal of the stones over the demolition of the house. If Elazar says the house built with the main support and smaller materials, when the negger appears on the main support, the owner is required to remove all of it. Where it appears on the smaller materials, he removes his side and leaves his neighbor's side. If a house on which a negger appears has an upper story, the beams are considered part of the upper story. If the negger appears in the upper story, the beams are considered part of the lower story. If there is no upper story, the house is stones, wood, and clay are demolished with it, but not the roof tiles and the lattices of the windows. If Yehuda says the frame built on top of the lower story is demolished with it, it's stone, wood, and clay rendered tummy as long as they're the size of an olive. If Elazar Kisma says it is as small as they are. A confined house makes a person tummy from within, and a confirmed house makes tummy from within and without, but both make tummy upon entering. Thank you. Avos. Okay. We have Vav. The Torah is greater than the priesthood and royalty, for royalty is acquired with 30 attributes, and the priesthood is acquired with 24 attributes, so the Torah is acquired with 48 things. And these are they would study with attentive listening, with articulation, with understanding, with discernment, with dread, and with fear, with humility, with joy, with purity and purity, with ministering to the aged sages, and with the analysis of colleagues, and with the sharp debate of students, with a settled mind, with knowledge of scripture, with knowledge of Mishna, with a curtailing of business activity, with a curtailing of social activity, with a curtailing of pleasure, with a curtailing of sleep, with a curtailing of conversation, with a curtailing of laughter, with slowness to anger, with a good heart, with faith in the sages, with acceptance of suffering. One who recognizes his place, one who is happy with his lot, one who makes a fence around his affairs, does not take credit for himself, is beloved, loves the omnipresent, loves people, loves the ways of righteousness, loves reproofs, loves straightforwardness, distances himself from honor, whose heart does not become arrogant because of his learning, who does not enjoy rendering a lack of decisions, shares his fellow's burden, judges him favorably, sets him on the path of truth, and sets him on the path of peace, One who is settled in a study asks and answers, hears and adds, and one who's studied in this, that whoever says something over in the name of the one who originally said, it brings redemption to the world, as it is stated, and Esther informed the king of Mordecai's name. Greatest Torah confers life on its practitioners in this world and the life of the world to come, for it says, for they are life to those who find them and healing for all flesh. And it states he will be health to your navel and marrow to your bones. And it states is the tree of life to those who grasp it, and his supporters are fortunate. And it states, for they are an adornment of grace for your head and a chain for your neck. And it states, they will set an adornment of grace upon your head and it will bestow a crown of splendor upon you. And it states, for through me your days will be increased, and I'll increase the years of life for you. And it states, length of days is at its right, and at its left is wealth and honor. And it states, for they add to you length of days and years of life and peace. And it states, his ways of pleasantness of peace, his pleasantness and all his pathways of peace. Shimon ben Messiah said in the name of the Rebbe Shimon ben Yochai, beauty, strength, wealth, and honor, Torah, wisdom, old age, and ripe old age, and children, they are all fitting for the righteous. Fitting for the world, as it is stated, the crown of splendor is ripe old age. It will be found in the path of righteousness. And it states the splendor of youth is their strength, and the splendor of the elders is their holiness. And it states the crown is of the wise is their wealth. And it states the crown of elders is grandchildren, and the children of glory of children is their parents. And it states the men will be illuminated, and a man will be shamed, for Hashem, master of legions, will have signed, reigned in Mount Zion and in Yerushalayim, and there will be honor for his elders. Rabbi Shimon ben Elisha says, these seven qualities said that the sages enumerated are fitting for the righteous, and all of them were found in Rebbe and his sons. Okay.
Okay. Shakoya.
Back to you. Tomorrow we'll finish. We'll finish this. Okay.
Okay, and
Good.
the next thing is Horaios.
Did
After
you tell me
Avos,
that
after Avos is Horaios.
tomorrow or today?
Actually, let me check. Where are we up to? We've got tomorrow. We've got Tes Yud Aleph. Yeah, so we finish. So we'll finish Avos exactly tomorrow, and then Horaios will be on Shabbos.
Okay, I have to find where this is because I don't